Hello, welcome to Reality Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. As always, I'm your host, Mac Taylor, and we are here to talk more Big Brother Canada, Season 9, Episode 9. So, we are going to talk about the new HOH, their bits of strategy heading into the noms and the noms proper, and then we're going to do a little bit of spoiler talk. Not a whole lot that's really prevalent to talk about, because there's just a whole lot of just talk that happens this week. There's not a whole lot of pertinent action, but nevertheless, let's get to the episode proper before we get to those sweet spoilers. So we start out Vic trying to throw Beth's name to Ty and Jed. Not entirely sure why she felt the need to do this, because we know she took out LaToya to get close to the guys. While she really messed up that plan of action, as far as the guys trusting her, Toya's gone. There's a spot open in the Sunsetters, theoretically. Do you need to also try to throw Beth's name under the bus? Also, Beth's part of the throuple. The guys are not going to think with their heads. They're going to think with their other heads. They're not going to care what you say, Vic. So she tells them about Beth, and then puts Beth on blast right after the eviction. I don't even know if LaToya was fully out the door. And she's like, "So Beth, what was all that about you saying that LaToya was a pertinent resume move?" And she's like, "I said that. Yeah. I'm not gonna argue with you here, Vic." So she tries to make this grand spectacle. Doesn't work. And then they go to another room, and she's trying to talk to Jed and Ty, and Vic comes in and again puts her on blast. And Ty's like, Did she say it? Beth's like, "No, I didn't say put Ty up, but I did say because Vic told me she was gonna put up to try to target LaToya, I said, well, that's a resume move. I didn't bring up the idea to take LaToya out, and I didn't even vote to evict LaToya, so what are we even talking about here?" And I don't know what Victoria was trying to accomplish with this, because at the end, she looks worse. Like, her HOH is now over, and she looks even worse. And she made some real bad moves last week. And there's really only one person that could win HOH that wasn't going to target her, and that person won HOH. It was another case, just like Austin, where Vic had the really bad HOH. But the only person that wouldn't target her is Kiefer, and Kiefer won HOH. So she gets to kind of smooth on by this week. Same thing with Austin. Vic won HOH. She wasn't going to put Austin up, but a lot of other people were. So, sometimes you get lucky in the Big Brother house. At one point, Vic even said, "I'm not trying to throw you under the bus." But you're throwing her under the bus. That's like, being like, "I'm not going to stab you," and you're slowly picking the knife up, and like, "Well, it kind of looks like you might stab me here." And like, no, I'm not stabbing you. It's a crazy thing. She tries to pull off some bizarro shit, and it's great television for sure, but it's not good gameplay. So Keith and Austin, we see that they made a deal there at the end of that HOH that they wouldn't nominate each other. And Austin, I don't know if she really threw it per se, but it was basically like, "I keep you safe, you keep me safe, no matter who wins" thing. Shouldn't have made that deal, because Austin's put Kiefer up already. So what incentive does he really have to try to, yeah, he wasn't her target at the end of the week, but she tried to target him. It's just no one was going to take that bait. So, also, Austin needs that HOH because they need to try to take out one of the other side. They don't need to let the other side get an HOH. That's not how a two-sided house works. but everyone is so caught up in their own duo, right? Which is funny, because BB6 had the actual, like, real-life duos. And these people act like it's that, but everyone's just so outwardly open with who their number one is. It's a very strange dichotomy. So Tara, Vic, Tina, and Ro also put on slop. Ro's like, I can't believe I'm on slop for the second week in a row. Row on the row of a slop. I'm stupid. And really, Ro, you shouldn't have came at Kiefer that hard last week. Like, it's kind of karma. And Vic's a little scared about being out of power because the Sunsetters are all meeting in Kiefer's room, and she's kind of like sitting outside the room. It's a nice dichotomy picture of how the house is. You've got all the oddballs downstairs together. You've got all the Sunsetters in a room together, and you got Vic just sitting on the outside and is all by herself. That's how this game is. It's a game of pairs and alliances and Vic. And she should be scared of being out of power because she made a really bad sequence of moves last week. Like, LaToya being her target wasn't necessarily a bad move. LaToya was a power player. But the way she went about getting her out of the house was very bad. So Keith knows the Sunsetters are the best option to keep safe this week to try to take out one of the oddballs. But he always talks about how he's loyal to the soil and, anything is not as good as the Sunsetters. But I'm like, you really want to go to the end with a throuple? Like, if you go to the Final Four with Jed, Ty, and Beth, the only way you get to the Final Three is win veto or HOH. This is the only way you get to the Final Three. And then when you get to the Final Three, the only way to get to the end is to win again. Why would you put yourself in a position where you have to win out against two extremely physically fit guys in Beth? Why would you put yourself in that spot, Kiefer? It doesn't make any sense. So Vic tells Ro to try to strong arm Kiefer. To be like, look, we kept you safe last week. You owe us to not put any of the oddballs up. And I'm like, really? No, they weren't voting to save Kiefer. They voted out LaToya. Same thing with the Sunsetters. They didn't vote out Kiefer. They voted to save LaToya. It's not that they wanted Kiefer on the block at all. And the oddballs had Kiefer put on the block. So, it knew the way the votes would fall. It's not like you kept him off the block and kept him so safe. He had a chance of going home. It's very a very weak pitch to try to make, but Vic tells Ro to do this. So Kyle and Ro offer Ty and Jed essentially the all-star deal that Dr. Will offered Kaser back in BB7, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with that plan, it was you had the season 6 side of the house, so James, Howie, Kaser, Janelle, and you had Will and Boogie on the other side of the house, two very powerful contingencies. And Will said, hey, let's not take each other out. Let's take all these floaters out that are going to make it to the end because we'll take each other out. Get them out, then we'll come at each other. And then Janelle, Kaser, and James proceeded to do that, and then Will and Boogie proceeded to screw over them and take out their allies in rapid succession. So that's how this deal always goes down. One side will stay true and take out floaters, and the other side will just take out that side when they get HOH. It never works out well. No one ever wants to stick to this because it's a stupid thing to stick to it. And I don't even know. I mean, I'm not saying Ty and Jed are super fans that have studied every season or whatever. I understand that's not the case. But just in common sense, lies. You've come for these guys have come for you, and you're going to be like, you know what? Let's just not target them. Let's do this whole Pretty Boys 2.0 thing. No one will ever expect it. And they won't want to do it because they know they need to take you out to progress further in the game. It's like Ty and Jed have become so dumb, so blinded by thruples and, I don't know, ego, but they don't see the game that's clearly in front of their face. All they have to do is play it. They don't even have to play that hard. They just have to play it, and they could do well, but they're just being real sloppy for no reason. Kyle and Rowe also tossed Vic under to the boys, trying to get Vic on the block. But again, Kiefer is HOH. Ty and Jed are not HOH. If Ty and Jed were HOH, they probably would put up floaters. Vic would probably go out this week. And then Kyle and Rowe would win HOH next week and take out Ty and Jed, and they would be really stupid. But lucky for them, Kiefer's HOH, and he at least knows what the move is to make this week. Not saying Kiefer is the most. No one in this house is a good strategist, but he at least knows to do that. And he's also trying to get as much info as possible. Kiefer is, for the third HOH of the season, someone's finally having a bunch of conversations, trying to get pertinent information. And Kyle and Rowe are trying to pry info from him, and he's just dodging around it. Like, who are you gonna put up? And he's like, well, you know, I don't know yet. I got a lot of thoughts in my mind. I got to hear everyone's pitches and everything, but I couldn't tell you a name. Which is a very, like, standard way of someone telling you, like, I know who it is, I'm just not going to tell you. Because very few times in the history of HOHs does someone really not know who they're going to nominate when they go into their HOH. Especially as you get later in the season. You know. You know who you're going to nominate. So Keith kind of gives them a hint it's them. Kind of drops some subtleties that they're the ones going up. And they kind of pick it up. But he does tell Tina and Tara the game plan of he's going to put up Kyle and Rowe. And Tara was like, well, I think we should nominate Austin and Bray. And I'm like, Tara, what the fuck are you doing? Like, no, that is not the right move. Kyle and Rowe are right here. They're right here. You missed your opportunity. You missed your opportunity when you were supposed to take a shot at Rowe week 2. Week 2. Had you took him out instead of Josh, you would not be in the predicament that you were in. But you did not take that shot. And now, here's the shot again. Let's not miss it. So Keith, we talked about in Spoiler Talk last week, Keith did make an alliance with Tina and Tara called the Pre-90s, because they're the only ones in the house born before 1990. But it is pretty prevalent. He does want to work with Ty and Jed and Beth more than them, which I think is who would you rather go to the Final Four with? Ty, Jed, and Beth, or Tina, Tara, Vic? One of these things is not like the other, okay? He then tells Vic she's in trouble, but not with him. Basically hey, you would have went up this week, but I'm not going to put you up. And that's good. He needs to work over that relationship with Vic, because if Vic wins HOH, she's pretty capable of winning comps. She wins HOH next week, Keith's good. Ty and Jed are probably good. She'll probably go after the oddball side. But again, it's Victoria. You never know. So this game is pretty much all duos at this point. We have Bray Austin, Kyle Rowe, Tina Tara, and we have a throuple of Ty, Jed, Beth. So at least Vic and Keith on islands. And I think Vic and Keith need to be each other's duo and work closely with Tina Tara, who are on all sides of the house. If they could come together for an alliance of their own and actually play it up, actually like hardcore go at this game, they could be dominant. But I don't know if they have that kind of patience and strategic ability to do so. We get a big segment on the throuple about how they make like a triangle as like they have a hand sign. The throuple has a hand signal. And Ty's basically explaining to Beth the concept of geometry. Because apparently Beth is not that smart. Because we've had two things that are not look so smart, like the backwards alphabet and the triangle thing. But my thoughts on the throuple, it's interesting. Something you don't normally see on reality television. I think that these guys might have accidentally applied for Canadian Love Island and accidentally got stuck on Big Brother Canada. But they're living their best life. And you know what? If all parties involved are cool with this, do what you gotta do. So Keith takes Tina to Wendy's. Great choice, honestly, in my opinion. That's the person you want to pull in, right? So that was a good choice to take. The only other choice could have been maybe Tara or Vic. And they both talk about no one can get a read on Austin and Brayton. But that doesn't matter right now. Like, Kyle and Roe are a threat. When one of them goes, maybe then take a shot at Austin and Bray. You know, break up the duos in sequence, right? So yeah, that's basically what they talk about. And then Tina comes out and Roe's like, so, what did they talk about? She's like, I didn't get any names. And Tara's like, well, the names that they said is not who he's probably going to target. And Tina's like, no names. No, we didn't hear any names. It's like, Tara cannot keep her mouth shut for anything. Because we know during that altercation with Kiefer, Kyle, and Roe, she almost spilled the beans to fucking Kyle and Roe and Kiefer about she was the one that ran the info. This needs to stay quiet. She has the best stance in the game, but it can only get worse if you keep talking when you don't need to talk. So the Expedia room opens up, and Keith is like frantically running around the house, like it's Survivor, and he's trying to idle hunt. Nothing comes of this segment. It literally does nothing but see Kiefer running. That is it. So the throuple wants to target Austin. And Ty basically spills in this conversation with Kiefer about targeting Austin that he wants to work with Kyle and Roe, which is no es bueno. Like, stop trying to work with Kyle and Roe. They're the enemy. They will put you up. So Austin is in the ball pit, and it looks like she's talking to herself. And then we see, as the camera pans away a little bit, that Kyle is like submerged in the ball pit, having this conversation with Austin. We've gotten a lot of fun segments out of the ball pit. We need to have cooler, this is a clear sign, we need to have cooler have-not rooms to have segments in. This is some really good stuff here. So Roe makes a last-ditch pitch to Keith about, like, listen, I won't nominate you or, replacement nom you, just don't nominate me. Keith doesn't buy it, nominates Roe and Kyle, tells them, this is because of the altercation last week, tells Kyle, I think your apology is sincere, but Roe, I don't think you were sincere. You didn't mean anything that you said, and your apologies are like your promises in the Big Brother house. They don't mean a damn thing. So Keith went savage on his speech. And Rowe, clearly in his post-nomination DR session, doesn't know why he's like, I didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, just admit it. Like, you talked about wanting to be the villain coming into this season. Well, be the fucking villain. Play it up in the DR. The DR is where you could really get your fucking segments in. It's when you could really, like, you know, flesh out your character here. And you're not doing that. You're not leaning in. It's like you want to have your cake and eat it too, and that never fucking works. So that was the episode proper. We're going to get into a little bit, just a little teeny bit of spoiler talk. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of pertinent information, not a whole lot of things that really went anywhere. So, you know, if you don't want the little tidbit here, jump out. If not, again, not a big thing. So, apparently, there's been talk. It's just like with the Josh Rowe thing, where it's like the Sunsetters are like, should we flip? Maybe, no, we should. Should we get Austin out? Because Rowe won power of veto, got the block. Keith put Austin up, and it's still clear. Take out Kyle. Kyle's the better player of the Kyle and Rowe duo, because Rowe can't, you know, just be emotional. He's game bought 24/7. Even if they're fake, you need to try to play people's emotions. That is how you win this game. You need to know who you're talking to and how to talk to them to get your points across. Kyle's been pretty good at that. Rowe has not. And that's the reason Kyle's in the spot he's in. So, but Rowe's safe. Kyle's not. And it should be clear to send Kyle out. But everyone's talking maybe we should take Austin out. That is a very dumb idea, because not only are then Kyle and Rowe coming after you, but Braden is damn sure coming after you because you took out Austin. Like, it's for Kiefer specifically. This is a terrible, terrible thing to have happen. Needs to shut it down, and he entertains the idea. And I'm like, no, shut it down. You're the HOH. You're in charge this week. You know, tell Ty and Jed, no, we don't do this. This is not good. If you want to get Austin out, you get him out on your HOH, not on mine. I set my sights on Kyle and Rowe. One of them need to go. So frustrating. And other than that, we haven't had a whole lot of, like, this has been a lot of back and forth talk about a whole lot of nothing. Ty and Jed have just continued to prove they're really not good at this game, but no one in this season is really good at this game. So it's all just a big toss-up next week. Whoever wins HOH is really going to dictate how we move forward. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Join me next time as we talk about the veto edition of the episode. Until next time, I'm Mac Taylor. Stay safe, most importantly, stay nerdy.